Hello everybody, my name is Joanna, I'm the Polish folk witch, and today I would like to participate in a community tag created by Bente from the Norse Witch, and the tag is Fail Tales, which is all about talking about the things that we kind of suck at in our craft, the things that don't come to us easy, or maybe we would like to be better at, but they just don't work for us, that kind of a thing. I personally see this as a kind of less serious, I suppose, conversation about the things that I feel like I suck at, but I believe that they don't really have like a huge consequence for my craft in the long run, because I believe that if you suck at something, even though you've tried many times, then perhaps it's a better idea to just do something else instead of that thing that fills that same role or similar role in your practice. Hope that makes sense. But anyway, I would also like to maybe insert a tiny bit more of a conversation about the conditions under which we may be failing things or sucking at things in our practice at the very end of this video. But for now, let's focus on the things that I feel like I suck at in my craft. First thing that I want to get out of the way are these guys. Maybe you know what this is. These are dowsing rods. And you basically use them to communicate with spirits, for example, in a similar fashion that you would be using a pendulum. And the thing is that I have no issues using pendulums, and they are usually pretty reliable for me. But when it comes to dowsing rods, it's kind of funny because I've been trying to get proficient at this tool, but I just don't get responses at all. Sometimes it just feels like this tool is not always wanting to cooperate with me for whatever reason. So I haven't been like too sad about it or too obsessed about this fact, but it's something that's just kind of funny to me personally, because I think it's a very interesting tool to use and a very interesting form of divination. And I always thought of it as similar to how the pendulum works, in the sense that if you are asking questions to spirits, they are relaying those answers directly to your body, and then your body translates those messages through that tool so that you can observe the message, the answer, in a more accessible way, right? I feel like that's how tools like this work. But yeah, for some strange reason, dowsing rods never worked for me that well. And I'm not giving up. I'm still trying every now and then, but I'm kind of at peace with the thought that perhaps it will never fully work for me. Another thing that I suck at is astrology. It's just something that I never felt like I can be proficient at, and I also never felt like a strong need to incorporate it into my practice, especially because I am a folk practitioner and somebody whose practices are mainly dependent on the cycles of the observable celestial bodies, like the moon or the sun or Venus at best, right? So being proficient at astrology was never like a goal for my practice, but I have to say, every time I engage with astrologers or people who are deeply into astrology, talking about the fixed stars or the intricacies of the cycles in their charts, etc., it's always very fascinating to me, and sometimes even awe-inspiring how folks can really pin down some, I suppose, observable phenomena like in the society or what's happening in the world around us, and explain that through what's currently happening in the stars, basically. I admire that a lot, and whenever I engage with folks like this or content like this, I just feel like my brain isn't big enough to be able to comprehend that on a level that would make me really like proficient in it. And yeah, it's also something that, as I said, is not something that I would like to incorporate, and I failed. So in that sense, I guess it's not a fail, but I really suck at this. And I have no intention of ever changing that, actually. So I'm pretty fine with it and just okay with admiring those who have this knowledge and can relay it to people in a way that's really accessible and meaningful. Another thing that I suck at is playing card divination. And this is something that's actually kind of sad to me because, I love reading tarot. I have no issue reading tarot. I have no issue reading oracles or even the Lenormand. I fucking love Lenormand. But with playing cards, for whatever reason, I am still unable to find a system that would be reliable for me, in the sense that the messages I would be getting, the cards I would be getting, would actually make sense for my situation or the questions I'm asking about. I just find that there is no synergy between me and playing cards for whatever reason. I can't figure it out, and I've been trying for some time. It's something that I tend to go back to every few years at least, and revisit and try to study from scratch, or revisit the things that I learned previously and basically try to make it work. But so far, I have not been able to make it work for myself. So it's something that I struggle with, and I wouldn't rely on playing card divination to actually give me good answers, reliable answers, something that I can trust and rely on, at least in comparison to other forms of divination that I am skilled in and proficient in. And I feel like I can trust those messages because they have been proven to work time and time again. Whereas with playing cards, no, it doesn't work for me. I absolutely failed so far at learning this system and being able to use it with trust. So, remembering dreams, I know that I'm not alone in this for sure. Dream work, funnily enough, even though I suck at remembering dreams on a daily basis, dream work or aspects of it still play an important role in my practice and day-to-day life in general. It's a kind of a strange thing because every now and then I will get a dream that would be very much craft-based, in the sense that I always reliably get very intense dreams. For example, when I am experiencing some kind of weakening of my defenses, or am being actively under attack by someone or something, and that's always been coming through for me in very reliable symbolism that I can always recognize as what it is, basically. And same for dreams that have to do with spirits showing me how to do something in my craft, so basically teaching based dreams from spirits. But when it comes to dreams on a daily basis, I absolutely suck at remembering them, and I think it has a lot to do with just your personal, I guess, makeup of who you are as a person, and the conditions of living, and the predispositions that you have as a person. And especially when those things clash in a kind of combination that makes your daily dreams not so easy to recall, it's kind of hard to get out of. At least that's what I've been finding for myself over the years. I think for me it has a lot to do with just having a very busy life, being overstimulated a lot during the days, and then I am somebody who falls asleep in like a minute. I have no issue falling asleep, never have, and I need to have like a solid 8 hours sleep in order to be able to function. And I just find that whenever something interferes with that, which is, for example, like my cat waking me up every day at 3:30 or 4 a.m., or things like that, that it really interferes with my ability to recall dreams at waking up, basically, at the start of my day. So this is something that I have been kind of sad about as well, because I would really love to be able to have a better dream recollection. And I find that for myself, having a dream journal, which of course I do have and have been having them for years, it doesn't seem to have an impact enough for me to actually contribute to changing that in a meaningful way, you know. So yeah, it's just something that I have to be dealing with, especially in times of like when life is more intense, basically, on whatever level. So yeah. And lastly, something that I would like to mention that I actually suck at, but I also don't think is something that's diminishing my craft in any way, is following timings, specific timings of, like, let's say, planetary hours or days or specific dates, and generally following some of those very rigid man-made rules that folks follow, especially in the more high magic circles or more eclectic that are in between, and that also sometimes translates into traditional witchcraft as well. I have to say that as a folk practitioner, I primarily base my craft off of what I get from spirits. So that would be my primary motivator for timing my craft, and it's often very spontaneous, where I will get specific instructions or feel this overwhelming just urge to do something here and now, and that's not something that I've ever been able to stop myself from doing. So I feel that my timing in my craft and the rules in my craft aren't very much controllable, you could say. This is something that's very primal, coming from the spirits, coming from my body, and the way it is connected with the powers that I work with. As weird or woo-woo as that may sound, I feel like that's not so uncommon for people who practice folk magic or the kind of lower magic, and animists whose way of perceiving the world and also practicing witchcraft is very much down to earth, in this way of trying to make ourselves on a bodily, on a somatic level, as connected to the world around us and the ecology around us as possible. So I find that if I were to collaborate with other practitioners, for example, that's often an issue for me. And I used to be in a coven. I'm not anymore, and haven't been for over a year now, or over a year and a half at this point. This has been one of my main issues when doing group workings, that the timing that's based in astrological timings doesn't always work for me. It's just, I need to be in a very specific state of mind and body to be able to practice in a way that's efficient and powerful and actually works for me. And it's usually not in line with those timings of the, let's say, like the generally recognized sabbats or esbats, you know, or otherwise timings that have to do with planetary hours or days. Never worked for me that well. If it's not followed by, as I said, this somatic kind of urge to be doing something, or being told by my allies and spirits that I need to be doing something, you know, here and now, or on a specific time and date. It does often, more often than not, actually align with the moon cycles, not so much the solar cycles. And it's always been like that for me as well. So it's just something I learned to embrace, and I recognize that it is only a hindrance, I would say, if I am trying to work with other practitioners. But if not, which is, you know, most of my craft, or at this point all of my craft is solo work, at least human-wise, right? Then that is not hindering me at all. So it's just something that, yeah, I kind of learned to embrace in my craft. And lastly, I mentioned that I would like to have a tiny chat with you about the conditions that influence how efficient we are in our practice, the things that can influence our success rate versus failure rate, and so on. And this is something that I want to address from a kind of joint perspective as a practitioner and as a psychologist as well. I find that it's not often talked about in the witchcraft circles, but our living conditions, our mental health, and basically kind of having our base needs met, I suppose, plays a very important role in, I find at least, in how efficient we are in some practices, even if those practices or skills are something that we have mastered to some degree, like for example spirit flight, being able to enter trance states, again recalling dreams, right? Those kinds of skills that are very intangible, I would say. For some folks that would also be visions, or some people also like to call it various clairs. I don't use that kind of vocabulary in my craft, but basically all those soft skills that have to do with being able to alter your states of consciousness or tap into something beyond your five senses, to like put it in a way that's maybe easier to understand. All those skills I find are affected by our mental health, by the conditions of our living, and also when it comes to health stuff, the medication we take can have an impact on some of those things. And I'm not saying this because I want to encourage people not to take medication. Some medication can actually enhance those abilities for you, and others can completely block them for you. That's not something that we can control that much. It's just, the reality of what's out there. A lot of medication changes the chemistry in our body, and changes how we function on a hormonal level and so on. And that can influence how open and receptive we are to the world within us and outside of us. And I just find that I don't want to talk about specific details because, again, I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. But I just find that if you find yourself in a situation where your life has changed in a significant way, whether that be, I don't know, you now have a baby, or you are taking new medication, or you are experiencing prolonged stress at work, or you are maybe having some major changes in your personal life, all of that can influence your abilities that are used during the practice of witchcraft. And I find that this is not talked about that much, because a lot of the times when folks are going through very liminal periods in their lives or going through something very intense, they also tend to put their craft on a kind of back burner and not focus on it, which is of course understandable. And I find that sometimes that's the best choice that one can make, because there is no point, you need to be able to judge these things in a way that's basically allowing you to make the best decisions for yourself in your life. And some practices of witchcraft, especially those that are more taxing, more intense, like trance work, for example, or spirit journeying, spirit flight, sometimes when we are going through those tougher times, it may not be the best time to also practice those things. Our energy might be better spent elsewhere, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So I just want to say that I'm sure there's going to be more responses to this tag about the fails that we perceive in our practice as individuals. Whoever is watching this one, I just want you to know that if you find yourself kind of at a loss for why you had a skill and don't have it anymore, why things are shifting in your craft, or why from the get-go you might be experiencing hardships in learning specific abilities, skills, and being proficient at them, it's not your fault a lot of the times, and I find that people tend to kind of give up too easily, too quickly, or judge themselves as fuck, I can't do this, I'm useless in this, I will never be able to gain this skill. A lot of the times that's just untrue, and I find that we need to be more patient with ourselves and very observant in how our life situation, our health situation, and so on, how they are impacting our well-being, which base needs of ours are not maybe met in certain moments of our lives, and how that is impacting our ability to be open and vulnerable in a way that's kind of necessary for a lot of the practices that we do when we practice witchcraft. So that's just something that I wanted to throw out there. Yeah, I would love to see anybody who's watching this to also participate in this tag. I find that this is like a cute way to share and show people that all of us have some struggles, all of us go through changes, all of us would maybe like to be more skilled or proficient at some of the things that we practice, and that's okay, that's fine. It's good to share this, and it's not a weakness, or it's not an actual failure if you are going through something and can't be practicing something on a level that you were able to before, or maybe you would like to be at. It's fine, we are all human and this is normal. So thank you so much for watching, and hopefully see you around soon. Bye.